Welcome to the Pop for Success podcast, your ultimate destination for business optimization and success strategies. I'm Ross Armstrong, and this is Stephen Blitz, and we're your hosts. Today, we are exploring the benefits of marrying your CRM. We will discuss the foundational success, how it can boost your efficiency, and help provide a clearer picture to your entire team.
So Ross, I'm excited to be here, new episode. And this has been a topic that we have been very passionate about. We've connected on, this was one of the first topics that we connected on about a month into my time at my prior company. What is a CRM for those people that don't know?
I don't think a day goes by that we don't discuss CRM capabilities, what it does, and how it helps us. The CRM is the customer relationship management system. It's the cornerstone of everything that's going on in our sales department, within the salesperson and the sales leadership. It's an indispensable tool in today's competitive landscape. It serves as the backbone to everything that we have going on and where we're going with the sales department and our opportunities.
Right. So CRM, what does that stand for again?
Customer relationship management.
So as a sales executive, well, we take that back a second. As somebody that has been in sales nearly 2 decades, more than 2 decades now, what made you move to CRM so early into your career?
Oddly enough, at that time, I was into buying tech stocks. And as a young salesperson, an aspiring salesperson, I was constantly looking for ways that would give me an edge, be more efficient. At that time, Salesforce came on to one of the investment news channels. I think it was Squawk Box or something like that. And the CEO at the time, Mark Benioff, was doing a demo of all the attributes of what a cloud-based CRM would do. I thought it was just super cool. I mean, I couldn't wait to take a look at it. So oddly enough, the CRM was a byproduct of me buying the stock. It had an awesome valuation. It was going places, and it was the latest and greatest thing. So I bought the stock and I signed up for the service. I mean, what better way to invest in a company or a stock other than trying it out? So I purchased it. It was really early on in my career. It wasn't demanded by the company that I was working for at the time, just to give me the edge, to help me be a more efficient salesperson. And I fell in love with it in every aspect. And this was 15 years ago. So they have come leaps and bounds since that time. I mean, it still excites me because it worked back then and it really, really works. They work well now.
Yeah. So back then you were with Salesforce, and now for the last 2 years, 3 years, we've used HubSpot, and we've actually became a partner with HubSpot. What is it that you like about HubSpot versus Salesforce? What was the thought process there? Because you and I, we went through a pretty extensive process of evaluating HubSpot, Salesforce, along with a few others that were out there. What was it about HubSpot that you really liked?
You're right. That extensive process of selecting them was every sense of the word extensive. It was very, very helpful in looking at both products and both attributes for them, what they do, what they don't do, and how they could help us. For HubSpot, it's the ease of use. I mean, it's just really simplified for the person that is focused on sales, is focused on prospecting, is always on the go. I mean, it's so easy. It's increased our sales conversion by 30 to 50%. I mean, it works really well. What do you like about it, Stephen?
Wait for you to ask. Look, I mean, when we started down that process of choosing a new CRM, we tried a NetSuite CRM. It just wasn't the right fit. You were dead on Salesforce. I was a little bit more hesitant. Salesforce is a fantastic CRM if you got the budget for it and you have the personnel for it. I was less convinced. I think we can both agree on that. It wasn't that Salesforce was incapable. It wasn't anything that they didn't do well. It was really about cost and cost benefit analysis that I was doing on that. I wanted you to run through a normal process of let's get 3 or 4 different options. Let's compare them out. Really quickly landed on Salesforce and HubSpot, 1 and 2, 2 and 1, whichever order that may be. And as we started looking at it, it really was very clear that HubSpot, which was originally built as a marketing platform, had really closed the gap on Salesforce.
Yeah, because I mean, there's tons of them.
Yeah. So that close of the gap, the ease of use of implementation, instead of having to have a Salesforce engineer essentially on staff or ready to land in, that we could actually make the adjustments. We could create the dashboards. I could get the information I needed from a finance department, from a budgeting department perspective, from understanding what we need to do. We were able to get information into dashboards a lot easier rather than having to go through a third party and wait for them. That was a big benefit to my decision making and my pushing you to a HubSpot. And it didn't hurt that HubSpot was probably about half the cost, if not less, than Salesforce, with a smoother transition process.
Sure. It was extremely simple and easy.
Yeah. So, you've talked now about, you as a salesperson while you started using it. What about you as an executive? What is it that drove you to pushing everybody into a CRM, whether Salesforce, HubSpot, and why is it so important in your day-to-day activities?
Sure. I'd also like to mention that one of the main reasons why I love a CRM and I absolutely have to have one and recommend it so strongly is because the CRM lays out the framework or the stepping stones to getting opportunities closed. If we only rely on accounting data, most of the accounting data, if not all, is trailing. The CRM is the other piece that businesses need to show where those forecasts or those projections are going and our plan and steps to get there. So it illuminates the future as opposed to just looking at the past.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate statement. Accountants, we generally work in the past. If I say this year, it's usually I'm talking about last year. It's just natural for us because whether you're doing tax return and audit, reporting, we're always working from information that's already happened, not happening. Now we're trying to help predict out what's going to happen. We're going to create budgets for helping guide the path. But without having that data that y'all are working on what is that future sales going to look like? What are those communications? How are you handling your marketing? All of that certainly predicates in there.
Is it safe to say from an accounting standpoint, you look at the trailing numbers and then provide those projections on where the company wants to go in forecasting those goals, just specifically only from trailing data?
No, I don't think that's a fair statement. We work starting with the trailing data when we're projecting out, but that's just the beginning. That's where we will benchmark ourselves against. So did we make $1 million last year? Did we lose $1 million? Did we have 10 million sales, 12, 15, whatever that was? Now from there, we're going to project out what it's going to be for next year. Did we lose a big customer? Did we gain a big customer? Did we add a whole bunch of equipment? Did we sell off a division? All of that has to get factored in. So that's when we start actually getting forward looking. But we need the data. We need the input from the sales department. We need input from operations. We have to look at a lot of different ways. And really the CRM becomes the most vital tool that comes from the sales department.
Indeed.
If I want to know, if I'm talking to a potential investor or talking to a board, what is the backlog of work? What do we have in the pipeline? How are we going to make sure that we're going to get and achieve our goals there? And again, it's important that we know where we were, but it's also important to have a vision for where we are going. And I think the CRM provides a clear process to that. It was done without a CRM for millennia. But, we also rode horses around to get to city, and now we drive cars or fly airplanes. So just because it was done one way does not mean it can't be done a different way or shouldn't. I believe the CRM is there, and it's also still evolving with the AI technology.
Sure. No doubt about it. I mean, I can't do without it. There's no question. Everything that I do on a daily basis is all done through the CRM. I think that's one of the things I want to point out is that whatever you're using out there, you have to marry it. I did a blog earlier this week, and that was the title specifically is tying a knot with your CRM. You don't want to use it halfway, 3/4. You want to be completely committed to operating in it because all of the information, all of the activities, everything you do is all in that one place. And in doing so, you're able to capture that data, and that data is able to illuminate the path to success and closing opportunities.
So that's what a CRM, that's the foundations of it. What has it done for you in terms of conversions? What has it done for you in terms of tracking whether or not your sales team is hitting their goals, setting goals, creating the processes? How are you using the CRM in this, and why is it so important into doing all that?
Sure. Right off the bat, you're going to see a 30 to 50% increase in closed sales. No question, because of the uniformity and the process to follow. As you find opportunities, you go through your prospecting, you qualify, you find these opportunities, and you put them in your pipeline, they never get away from you. So you're not using a notebook and flipping back to an old page. You're not using an Excel spreadsheet and using all of those old methods to find or not find. I mean, look, we live in a fast-paced world today. Things happen quickly, and it's just not effective anymore. So with regard to the conversion rate being 30 to 50% higher right off the bat, it's because it never gets away from you. So if you start your day and you're looking at your pipeline, these people are paramount. I need to call them. I need to email them. I need to check in with them. And just getting in that habit daily is going to keep you on top of your business.
Yeah, and I think you're not saying it's going to, just because you sign up for HubSpot, you're going to immediately have a 30% increase in your lead conversion rates. That is going to be because you're going to actually use it. By marrying into your CRM, you're going to get that. If you just buy the software, is that going to close you any better?
No, you have to use it. You have to be completely inundated with using the software.
Every day, every time you make a call, tracking it. So every day you're using this, every day you're doing that. By using that you're getting there. How are you tracking and how are you using it with your sales team? Why is it so important as a sales executive marketing? Why is it so important that it's that your sales team is using it?
Because it provides clarity to the goal. So if our team based on someone finding opportunities, setting up meetings, and then someone going out and executing in those meetings, and then someone approving proposals, and we're working collectively, we have a set goal of how many people we need to call to get X amount of meetings to get X amount of proposals and opportunities into the pipeline. And throughout that whole process of us working together as a team, it's easy to see and identify what we're doing to be successful or to not be successful. So if we have to call 100 people a day and we're only hitting 40, our pipeline is going to be weak. And we can easily reflect back on those milestones or those goals that we set in a specific campaign through the journey.
Yeah, and I think the other side of this is that by working inside of the system, you're going to create an automation and workflow. You're able to track, is your team doing what they're supposed to do? Most people know sales is a numbers game. Is that a fair statement? It's numbers and relationships. The two things that are most important in sales. Did I hit enough people to hit my numbers? Because you're not going to close everybody. And am I building the relationships with my customers? And relationships is every, facet of a business. But if you hit enough people, you're going to close enough business. Does that mean if I'm going to close 30% of the business, I'm not closing exactly 30% every time. I'll go into a dry spell and I'll go into a hot streak. But seeing consistency, going back to our last topic, the CRM can help provide that actual insight to the consistency. Is your team member being consistent? Are they there? If they're not, well, then I have a pretty good idea that you're not going to hit your numbers. And maybe I can recognize it months in advance or days in advance or weeks in advance instead of months or, 6 months down the line and realize we're not getting anywhere near our numbers this year.
That's exactly what makes it so beautiful, is because if we're using a strategy to take someone out every week and we do that for 6 months and we don't get any projects awarded, then we can look at what we're doing, reflect on it, and change the strategy. You just said it a second ago. Time is money. Having the CRM in place and having the plan is allowing us to pivot so much faster than basically just guessing. So that's where the 30 to 50% increased conversion rate comes from, is because we're able to look at what we're doing, discuss it on our meetings as we reflect on the goals that we're trying to hit and achieve, and implement the things that work.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the data-driven decisions you're making by implementing and marrying your CRM. What is it that you're focusing on in terms of the data? What is it that you're needing?
This is the fun part, is the reporting. And I also want to say CRMs have been so misunderstood in a way. When I was out and about as a salesperson, I think many people think that it's like to micromanage, or it's to keep tabs, or it's to track. If you're aspire to be a top performer, it's a tool. And that's how you really need to view it. If you're going to work and doing what you're supposed to do every day, you have no issues. So for all the people out there that might be a little bit apprehensive about the company, the CFO and his team being able to see everything that you do, I would just say to not look at it like that. I would totally look at it as being growing to be a top performer, and you're using this tool to be more effective, to be more successful, which will lead to more money in your pocket and more money into the company.
Yeah, and I think, it's important that to know is CFOs generally aren't looking at it on a daily basis. I think sales managers should be looking at the CRM, and they may be looking at, are they hitting their calls? Are we doing that? And they're doing that not because they're trying to drive down, trying to micromanage, but they're trying to make sure that, hey, we're still hitting our goals, that we're going to be pushing towards it, that we're going to be there. So I think that is an important fact that you're talking about there. So yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So back to the original question of what analytics and what KPIs do we look at as a sales leader to really know if we're being effective? It's different for every business, for every company, depending on products you sell or services you offer. But right off the bat, let's just say we're breaking into a new region with a new service, and there's tons of people to meet. There's tons of people to call. It's call activity. How many people are we calling? It's, are they answering? It's, what are they saying? It's, how many emails do I have gone out? How many customer visits? Exactly. Everything that we put into it can be measured in some way, shape, or form, down to the tone, down to the time. I had one measurement in place at one time. It was how much time we stay on the phone. So if I'm on the phone for an average of 7 minutes per call, and everyone else on the team is on for an average of 45 seconds, we're not calling the right numbers.
Are we?
We may not be calling at the right time.
It could also be the messaging. And so I want to move this conversation a little bit to how does AI, because right now it's a big AI world, how is AI changing the way that the CRMs work?
Okay, that's a loaded one, and I really enjoy that question, because when I first started, everything was manually put in. So, like a spreadsheet, we manually punch in everything that we want to put in the sales. The CRMs was very similar. So the calls that you made, the time that you stayed on the phone, the message that you conveyed, all had to be manually put in, and it added steps. So it was a demotivator, but it still had to be done because the analytics is so strong. With AI now, that is a game changer, because upon getting off of the phone, it offers a transcript, for example. So I don't need to take any more notes. I don't need to put this down in a notebook. The text messages I send go into the text messaging. I can now look at calls and text messages side by side and be able to see which one's more effective, which ones get more responses. So AI has been a game changer. It's actually taken work off of our plate than adding work to it.
And so the other thing I know that, AI, and I've seen you use a lot, and I've used it as well, is the automating the process. What am I responding back to somebody? How am I responding it? You got to get the tone right. We have to do things, putting in a sequence so that instead of trying to figure out who to reach out to the first time, or what do I say the first time? What do I say the second time? What do I say the third time? How do I do those follow-ups? We can create a sequence and actually see what people are doing by having that data directly in the CRM. See when someone's opening up emails.
Sure.
Are they opening it up once? Are they opening it up 10 times? If they're opening it 10 times, we're hitting something that's important. So I think the AI functionality, how that's improving, the ability to take notes off the call, the ability to create action points, create the automatic follow-ups. All of that helps reduce the amount of work that the sales member needs to do, and rather now makes it more automated, more consistent. And that's where the sales conversion is coming from, right?
It's so good now that we can set parameters to where it scores the call. So if it's a first call or third time call, it'll score the call on how well did we do. Hey, you really, really said some things here that move the needle and move this opportunity in the pipeline. So we use that metric and we amplify it. Now we know if it's a similar prospect, a similar industry, what method we need to use. And that's where the efficiency and the time really kicks in high gear.
As a sales leader, where does the finance department come in and help you out with the CRM?
If that's going back to what we discussed earlier, is the finance department generally is looking at trailing information, right? Profit and loss, balance sheets, revenue, costs, and then weeding through what the goals are for the company and then setting new goals, setting new parameters. The finance and the sales department being close and understanding what those goals are, and I should say aligned, is where we really find success. So Steven from the finance department decides to add another $1 million to our revenue, top line revenue next year. The sales department has to figure out, how do we get there? All right. And that's where the CRM really comes in, because we want to have the same goals. I don't want to have a 500,000 revenue target and he has $1 million. We have to align on whatever those forecasted goals are. And then when we do, we're going to develop the stepping stones with the CRM on how to get there. So to break that down, it's, as you said earlier, a numbers game. If we need to get to $1 million, we know we need X amount of people and X amount of opportunities that we have to find so that we can close on that percentage rate that we're accustomed to get to that goal that we set.
Yeah, and I think from a finance department, obviously it's corresponding there, but by having that information readily available, we're able to also help provide some guidance using the historical information, using the operations information, and creating a dashboard of information that, hey, you're spending 8 weeks trying to close this client that's not going to have a big impact to the revenue or not be very profitable. Maybe we're able to help guide you with the information. It's taking 8 meetings to get a close. Well, these other clients are taking 5 meetings to get a close. Maybe we need to be guiding ourselves differently in order to get these things closed more rapidly. Or, are we focused on the wrong industries? Are we focused on the wrong clients? Are we not providing the right messaging? All of that is being tracked inside of the CRM. Am I incorrect on that?
I love that statement because it's a collaboration effort. So we get our team together once a week. And to Steven's point, let's say it's taking 8 times to close a client. You have another salesperson that's closing them on average of 3 to 4. So that's the moment that we need to be accountable and be humbled and say, hey, what are you doing that's working? I'm doing this. Maybe we should look at pivoting and changing it up, which in turn helps that person close more deals. It helps the company. And it's a great opportunity for everyone to learn from each other.
So let me ask this question, because we've talked about all the benefits of a CRM and we're fully there. What are the negatives? What are the things to watch out for?
One of the biggest negatives for CRMs is, like I said earlier, it just totally being misunderstood. Sales teams thinking that it is negative because it's a tracking mechanism. It's a method to micromanage. It couldn't be further from the truth. If you use it like it's supposed to be used, you'll soar.
What about an over-reliance aspect to it? Because one of the issues I would see with it is the fact that if you are using it and using too much of the AI, not having any personalization, just over-relying on it without having that relationship building, which obviously is just a tool towards relationship building. What is that? How would that impact
It would be
conversions?
a huge impact. I think you nailed it there. You can't just expect to use a broad-based messaging to everyone, especially if your business services a multitude of industries. You have to break it down, your industries, your lists, your people, into personas and understanding how these want to be talked to. So you have to really understand how to break your lists out and customize your messaging around what they like. So that's a huge one, though. You can't just do the same thing for everyone.
I mean, who you're speaking to, industries, what are the titles? Are there responsibilities? Are you talking to the owners, CFOs? Are you talking to project managers or somebody low on the totem pole? I think it is very important that you are treating people still individually. Because if you're only treating people in a systematic way and without worrying about the relationship and thinking that the relationship is able to be completed purely systematic, then I think you're going to fail. But at the same time, there is a systematic aspect to building a relationship. There are things that are universally true, that if you are consistent to follow up, to care, to be there to help, because that's what sales is about. Sales is about helping, finding your problem and helping you solve that problem. Then the CRM is a vital tool. It gives you that leg up.
Well said. We are excited for you to be a part of this journey with us. And as always, we strive to provide valuable insights, strategy, guidance, and stories that help you improve. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a student, or someone looking to make positive changes in your business, this Pop for Success podcast will offer you and your company tools, knowledge, and strategies to help you excel. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Pop for Success podcast. Subscribe and stay tuned for more insights, strategies, and success stories in our upcoming episodes. Until next time, keep optimizing, keep growing, and keep succeeding.